Breath with me for a moment, because this chapter doesn't begin with fire. It begins with reunion. We open in Galvizgrade, and for the first time in a long while, the campaign allows itself a pause. Anju, Picklejuice, and Dodora return not to danger, but to people they care about, Tarami and her child. There is warmth here, there is familiarity, and for the audience, there's a quiet relief in watching these characters exist without immediately bracing for loss. Training happens. Anju works her weapons with Picklejuice and Didora, not as a spectacle, but as discipline. Preparation in a world that has taught her preparation is survival. Picklejuice, meanwhile, does what he has always done best. He negotiates. He speaks with the Dwarven Council, arranging for dwarves and gnomes to accompany him to Darksand's mine. At the table, this feels routine, but in hindsight, it's foundational. This is the shape of Picklejuice's power. Not domination, but infrastructure. Then Rendervire arrives, and the tone shifts, not violently, but unmistakably. His reunion with Tarami and her child isn't confrontational. No accusations are thrown, but the audience feels the questions settle into the room. Where has he been? Where does he belong? What does loyalty look like when time and distance are involved? These are the kinds of moments that don't resolve quickly, and they aren't meant to. While this quiet complexity unfolds, Alejandro is elsewhere, exactly where you expect him to be, on duty outside Castle Leotep, commanding Demoheme forces. His brief journey north to Chromehawk to visit Marshana feels almost unreal, a glimpse of a life he could choose, but doesn't. He returns immediately to his post. The audience clocks this not as duty alone, but as pattern. Alejandro always goes back. When the Lapis Dart arrives and reunites the party around the dining table, the campaign snaps back into something familiar. Direction. Orders from the Union of Ash. A dragon threat. A clear mission. Jinuin, the cleric, joins the group. There's a sense of alignment here, of momentum restored. This is where players feel steady again. The dragon is confronted. The task is completed. And then, on the return flight, the world quietly reveals what it's becoming. From the sky, the party sees forests being stripped away, land reshaped, industry accelerating. A massive castle is rising south of Chromehawk. The Malcure realms are no longer rumors. They're visible. Someone marks the map. The ship vanishes into the clouds. No action yet, just awareness. The audience understands. This will matter later. Then Rainhall comes into view, and everything changes. The Lapis Dart docks in Rainhall, and the reunion is not joyful. Jinclair tells the story of Castle Leotep's fall through tears. A serpent cultist has taken it. A home is lost. He begs Anju to seek Lady Sorora's army, not because it's the best plan, but because it's the only hope he can see. Bear is there, silent, present. Alejandro hears one thing above all others. The castle is gone, and his brother's caravan is already moving toward it. Panic hits immediately. This isn't strategy anymore. This is family. The audience feels the shift as sharply as the players do, and this is where the campaign fractures. Bear and Anju disagree, not loudly, not dramatically, but at the deepest possible level. Two philosophies collide. How do you confront evil? With overwhelming force? With alliances? With sacrifice? No compromise is found. The next morning, Bear leaves. No speech, no farewell. He walks alone toward the castle. Inside Castle Leotep, Bear finds horror, a ritual of human suffering, and for the first time, he stands before Il Wurbin. Their clash is brief, brutal, and clarifying. This is not a villain meant to be traded blows with evenly. Bear fights with everything he has and is overpowered. For the audience, this moment resets expectations. This enemy will not be worn down. He will take what he wants. The Lapis Dart arrives later, diverting the caravan just in time. Alejandro is recognized as Demoheme. Terms are spoken. The castle becomes a sealed wound in the land. Not victory. Not defeat. Back in Rainhall, the story slows again, intentionally. Anju chooses to bargain with the Fae. It's a calculated risk, and one she believes is necessary. Sterling cannot accept this choice. There's no shouting, no dramatic break. Just a quiet, permanent divide. The audience feels it as something final. Then the Ardri steps forward and gives his life attempting to destroy the cultist. What follows is the final battle, and it is not kind. Inside Castle Leotep, Il Wurbin takes lives. Bear falls first, holding the line exactly as he always has. Anju follows. Her death lands with a strange, heavy calm. the sense that she understood the cost of her path long before this moment arrived. The Ardri is already gone, and still, the enemy stands. At this point, the audience understands something crucial. This fight is no longer about survival. Then Pickle Juice speaks, not with a speech, not with drama, just urgency. Get out. Now. And in that instant, everything clicks. The character who negotiated, who built, who soothed, the one least expected to wield overwhelming force, reveals the depth of his power. Pickle Juice stays behind. As the others flee, he ignites the chamber. Fire consumes stone. Ritual becomes furnace. Yil Wur Bin is burned alive. There is no escape. No final monologue. The cultist dies there in flame. And this is the moment the audience feels it fully, what sacrifice actually means and what it costs when quiet strength becomes decisive power. The survivors regroup. There is no celebration, only absence. Bear. Anju. The Ardri. Gone. Sterling takes the helm of the Lapis Dart one final time. The flight is silent. Rainhall rises ahead. When the ship docks, Sterling says goodbye. Not in anger, not in regret. He leaves his ship. He leaves his former life. He leaves his friends. And he walks away. Alejandro remains. Didora remains. Rendervire remains. Pickle Juice remains. Not because they won, but because they endured the ending of something that mattered. That is where Campaign 2 ends, with evil destroyed, with heroes lost, with the understanding that survival sometimes is the heaviest victory of all. If you'd like